Listen, there's a reason people interrupt you. There's a reason your voice gets ignored in rooms where you should be respected. And it's not because you're wrong. It's because your presence is silent even when your mouth is loud. People don't listen to you because your energy doesn't match your intention. When you speak without conviction, the world hears noise. But when you speak with certainty, the world hears direction. I need you to understand something powerful today. Influence is earned long before you open your mouth. Before you say a single word, people have already read your posture, your attitude, your confidence, your consistency, and they decide in seconds whether your voice carries weight or disappears like dust. The truth is harsh. People don't listen to you because you haven't trained yourself to become someone worth listening to. But don't worry that changes right now. Your energy is the announcement you make before you ever speak. It's the signal that hits people long before your words arrive. And if that energy is weak, chaotic, insecure, or unsure, it doesn't matter how intelligent your message is, nobody will feel it. That's the truth most people never hear. The world listens to your presence before it listens to your voice. Think about the people who command a room. They don't walk in and shout for attention. They don't introduce themselves with a long explanation. They don't need to. Their energy arrives first. It tells everyone, I'm here with purpose, I'm here with certainty, I'm here with conviction. That invisible presence creates impact before a single word leaves their mouth. Your energy is your credibility. It's your first impression. It's the why behind your voice. You can say something powerful, but if your energy is timid, your message collapses. You can deliver instructions, but if your energy is chaotic, nobody trusts your direction. You can express your dreams, but if your energy is doubtful, nobody will believe in them, including you. People have been trained by life to listen selectively. They listen to strength, they listen to clarity, they listen to conviction. They listen to the person whose energy tells the truth before the words even show up. That's why you can't afford to show up tired, sloppy, distracted, or unsure. Your energy is speaking on your behalf every second you're alive, and if you don't control it, it controls your influence. Most people enter the world like they're hoping to be accepted. Their shoulders are down, their tone is low, their eyes show hesitation. They don't realize they're broadcasting weakness before they even begin speaking, and when people sense weakness, they tune out. This isn't cruelty, it's human nature. The world is drawn to certainty. The world follows leaders, not whispers. Your energy must represent who you choose to be, not what your fears tell you to become. Your energy starts with your alignment. When you are aligned with your purpose, your presence becomes sharper. When you are aligned with discipline, your presence becomes louder. When you are aligned with integrity, your presence becomes trustworthy. You don't need to convince people when your energy already proves your identity. People make the mistake of trying to fix their words before they fix their state. They think if they memorize the right script, they'll earn influence. They think if they say the right lines, people will suddenly listen. But influence doesn't begin with the mouth. It begins with the inner world. Your energy is the reflection of your mindset, your habits, your self-respect, and your emotional control. If the inside is scattered, the outside will feel scattered. If the inside is strong, the outside becomes undeniable. When your energy is powerful, even your silence has weight. You can be in a room without speaking, and people feel your presence. They notice your posture. They notice your focus. They notice your certainty. That's the kind of energy that makes people ask, who is that? That's the kind of presence that earns respect without effort. And once you build that foundation, your words become 10 times more effective. Your energy also determines the way people receive your message. You can tell someone the truth, but if your tone comes from frustration or insecurity, they won't take it seriously. You can share wisdom, but if your delivery feels hesitant, they'll doubt your credibility. But when your energy is grounded, emotionally stable, controlled, intentional, your message becomes impossible to ignore. People listen not because of what you said, but because of how you carried it. Influence is not about overpowering others. It's about being so aligned, so clear, so disciplined that your presence naturally lifts or challenges the room. People can feel authenticity. They can feel belief. They can feel purpose. They can feel when someone is speaking from a place of truth, not ego. And when your energy comes from truth, your words become a force. You must also understand that energy is a daily practice. It's built through habits. The way you breathe, the way you walk, the way you look at people, the way you speak to yourself, all of it collects into the presence you project. You can't fake strong energy. You can't pretend confidence, you can't pretend discipline, your energy exposes you, but this is good news because it means you can shape it. When you wake up and choose intention, the world feels it. When you train your mind before your mouth, the world respects it. When you act with purpose instead of emotion, the world listens. You must become the kind of person whose energy speaks the truth of who you are before your words ever attempt to. That's how you build influence that lasts, because at the end of the day, your words might inspire someone. But your energy, that's what transforms them. Confusion is the silent assassin of influence. It doesn't make noise, it doesn't announce its arrival, and it doesn't break anything loudly. It simply dissolves your authority slowly, quietly, and completely. When your message is unclear, when your intentions are scattered, when your delivery is messy, people stop trusting your direction. And when trust dies, influence follows. Most people don't lose influence because they're wrong. They lose influence because they're unclear. Their mind is running in circles, their words wander, their decisions don't match their actions, and their message feels like a puzzle people don't have the time or patience to solve. The world doesn't follow confusion. The world follows clarity. The world follows the person who knows what they're saying, why they're saying it, and where they're going. Confusion is born from a lack of internal alignment. When your mind is chaotic, your voice becomes chaotic. When your purpose is undefined, your communication becomes diluted. You can't speak with conviction when you don't fully understand what you're trying to communicate, and people can feel that. They don't listen to what sounds uncertain. They don't follow what feels scattered. They don't trust a message that seems to constantly shift in tone, meaning, or direction. Influence requires confidence, but confidence requires clarity. You can't have one without the other. This is why the most powerful people don't speak in paragraphs. They speak in impact. They don't try to impress people with complexity. They move people with precision. They understand that clarity is the highest form of respect, respect for the message and respect for the listener. When your message is clean, your influence becomes sharp. When your message is sharp, your influence becomes undeniable. Confusion also kills influence because it drains the listener's energy. People shouldn't have to work hard to understand you. If your audience has to piece together your meaning, guess your intention, or interpret your emotional state, you've already lost them. Communication is not about how passionately you speak. It's about how effectively your message transfers into someone else's mind. If that transfer is blocked, broken, or blurry, influence collapses. Another reason confusion destroys influence is because it makes you look inconsistent. And inconsistency is poison to credibility. When one day your message is bold, and the next day it is hesitant. When one moment you speak with certainty, and the next you sound unsure. People stop believing in your authority. They start wondering if you even believe yourself. Influence is rooted in stability. If your message feels unstable, your leadership feels unreliable. But clarity doesn't just come from clean words, it comes from clean living. You can't argue for discipline if your own habits are inconsistent. You can't preach focus if you're easily distracted. You can't guide others if you can't guide yourself. People listen to those whose actions and words match. When your life aligns with your message, clarity becomes natural. When your lifestyle contradicts your message, confusion takes over and influence erodes. To regain influence, you must simplify everything. Simplify your thoughts, simplify your goals, simplify your language. Complexity is not a sign of intelligence, clarity is. If you need 10 sentences to explain something that should take one, you haven't understood it deeply enough. If you need to defend your message constantly, you haven't delivered it clearly enough. Stop trying to sound deep, start trying to sound true. There is also emotional confusion, the kind that happens when you speak from insecurity instead of intention. When your emotions drive your communication, your message becomes unpredictable. You might sound angry when you mean to sound passionate. You might sound uncertain when you mean to sound thoughtful. You might sound dismissive when you mean to sound confident. Emotional confusion weakens your tone, your delivery, and your presence. A person who controls their emotions controls their message, and a person who controls their message controls their influence. If you want people to listen, you must remove all the noise that blocks your clarity. That means removing overthinking, removing fear, removing emotional reactions, removing the desire to impress, and removing the need for approval. When your motives are pure, when you speak for the sake of truth, not validation, your message becomes sharper. Clarity comes from purpose, not performance. Influence is built on trust, and trust is built on clarity. People need to know what you stand for, what you believe, and where you're leading them. They need to feel your message, not decode it. They need direction, not confusion. When your words become clean, your energy becomes strong. When your energy becomes strong, people naturally follow, because the moment you remove confusion, the moment your voice becomes aligned with your purpose, the moment your message becomes sharp and undeniable, your influence returns stronger, deeper, and more respected than ever. Respect is one of the most misunderstood concepts in the world. People grow up believing they deserve it automatically, simply because they show up, because they speak, because they feel entitled to it. But the truth is far more direct, far more uncompromising. Respect isn't something you ask for, it's something you demonstrate. It's not a gift people hand out. It's a response you earn through the way you live, move, and carry yourself every single day. People don't respect what they don't understand, what they don't trust, or what they don't feel is consistent. Respect is built through patterns of discipline, patterns of character, patterns of reliability. Every action becomes a vote for or against your credibility. Every choice strengthens or weakens your presence. You're being evaluated long before you speak and long after you stop talking, and whether you realize it or not, you're teaching the world how to treat you through everything you do. Respect isn't about how loudly you demand it. That only works on weak minds. True respect appears when your actions speak louder than any request ever could. When you live with integrity, people notice. When you show up disciplined, people notice. When you stay committed long after everyone else quits, people notice. And the moment people see consistency, they can't help but feel respect even if they don't like you. That's the power of demonstration. People respect the person who keeps their word even when it's inconvenient. They respect the one who stays calm under pressure. They respect the one who doesn't fold when life gets heavy. They respect the one who doesn't quit just because it's hard. And most importantly, they respect the one whose actions don't change based on who is watching. Respect grows from the invisible moments, the ones nobody sees, the early mornings, the extra effort, the sacrifices, the self-control, the decisions made behind closed doors, because those moments shape your character, and character is the foundation of respect. You cannot fake character. You cannot pretend reliability. You cannot perform discipline. You can say all the right things, but if your actions don't match, people will see through you instantly. Respect also requires boundaries. A person who doesn't protect their standards will always lose authority. When you tolerate disrespect, you teach others they can give you less. When you over-explain yourself, you teach them your words don't stand on their own. When you allow people to drain your time, misuse your kindness, or cross your limits, you are demonstrating that you don't respect yourself, and people only mirror what you model. Self-respect is the seed of all external respect. If you don't value yourself, nobody else will. If you don't honor your own goals, nobody else will. If you don't defend your standards, people will walk all over them. Respect begins internally before it ever appears externally. The way you speak to yourself, the way you discipline yourself, the way you carry yourself, all of it builds a blueprint for how others will respond to you. Respect is also earned through results. People follow results, not opinions. They respect achievements, not intentions. If you want to be respected in your field, become excellent, master your craft, work while others sleep, improve while others complain. Results create authority because results cannot be argued with. They're evidence, they're proof, they're the loudest demonstration of all. But understand this clearly, respect is not about perfection. It's about responsibility. People respect those who own their mistakes, not those who hide them. They respect those who learn, not those who blame. They respect those who grow, not those who stay the same out of fear. Responsibility is rare, that's why it commands respect when it appears. The fastest way to lose respect is inconsistency. Saying one thing and doing another, making promises you never keep, acting strong but breaking down at the slightest challenge, speaking about discipline but living without any. People may forgive mistakes, but they never respect inconsistency. Your words should be a contract your actions fulfill. When people see alignment, trust forms. When trust forms, respect follows naturally. And remember, respect isn't about being liked. The two are completely different. Many people like you because you're comfortable, soft, easy to manage. Very few people respect you when you're that version of yourself. Respect often comes from firmness, not friendliness, from structure, not softness, from conviction, not compromise. You aren't here to please, you're here to stand strong in who you are. Respect is demonstrated when you show the world that you won't negotiate your values for approval, that you won't shrink your voice to fit a room, that you won't lower your standards to keep peace, that you show up with purpose every day regardless of circumstances, because once you consistently live in alignment with your principles, once your actions reveal your strength without you announcing it, once your presence communicates your character before your mouth opens, respect stops being something you chase. It becomes something people naturally give. Emotional control is one of the greatest forms of power a person can develop. Not because emotions are bad, but because emotions are raw energy, and if you don't direct that energy, it will direct you. You cannot build authority when your reactions are unpredictable. You cannot lead when your feelings lead you. Authority demands stability. Influence demands discipline, and the moment your emotions dictate your decisions, you lose both. People watch how you respond more than they listen to what you say. They're not just observing your words, they're reading your tone, your composure, your breathing, your timing. They're analyzing the space between your reactions, because those small moments reveal more about your strength than any motivational speech ever could. When someone sees you irritated, flustered, triggered, or thrown off balance, they immediately downgrade your authority even if they don't say it. Emotional instability weakens the foundation of leadership. Most people argue, explode, or collapse because they haven't trained their emotional reflexes. They think emotions are things that happen to them rather than forces that can be harnessed and controlled. But the truth is simple. Your authority begins the day you stop letting your emotions dictate your identity. You can feel anger, but you don't move from anger. You can feel doubt, but you don't speak from doubt. You can feel fear, but you don't lead from fear. Emotional control is not suppression, it's mastery. Authority doesn't come from being louder, it comes from being centered. When you stay calm under pressure, people begin to trust you. When you respond instead of react, people begin to follow you. When you think before you speak, people begin to respect you. Staying grounded in the middle of chaos is what separates those who influence from those who panic. Your ability to remain composed becomes proof of your strength, and here's the truth many avoid. Emotional discipline is not built in peaceful moments, it's built in tension. It's forged in the arguments you didn't escalate. It's shaped in the disappointments you handled with patience. It's strengthened in the moments where you wanted to scream, but instead you chose clarity. Mastery is developed through resistance. Every time you choose control over reaction, you increase your authority without saying a word. People follow those who are emotionally consistent. They trust someone who doesn't rise and fall with every mood, every setback, or every opinion thrown at them. Emotional volatility confuses people. It makes them question your stability, your reliability, your decision-making. No one wants to take direction from someone who changes tone every hour. But when your emotional state is steady, strong, grounded, intentional, your authority becomes magnetic. Emotional control also sharpens your communication. When you're reactive, your message becomes clouded. Your words become weapons instead of tools. You say things you don't mean, you speak from pain instead of purpose, and your influence gets lost in the smoke of your own frustration. But when your emotions are disciplined, your message becomes clear, your tone becomes confident, your presence becomes powerful. People don't just hear you, they feel your certainty. Authority is also built through silence. A person who cannot stay silent when they are triggered is a person who hasn't mastered their inner world. Silence is a strategy. Silence is strength. Silence is space, space to observe, space to think, space to respond with intention. A calm pause can end conflict faster than a heated explanation. A still moment can reveal the truth more clearly than an emotional outburst. You don't need to respond instantly. You need to respond intelligently. You also build emotional authority by becoming unoffendable, not because you don't care, but because your self-respect is too strong to be shaken by someone else's opinion, when insults don't move you, when criticism doesn't break you, when negativity doesn't distract you. People begin to see you as a pillar, and pillars are trusted, pillars are followed, pillars are respected. Another secret: authority grows when you show control over your highs, not just your lows. Anyone can be calm when life is painful, but can you stay grounded when life is exciting, when success comes, when applause arrives, when opportunities show up? Many people lose control not through anger, but through ego. Emotional discipline keeps you humble, focused, and aligned even when things go right. Authority demands balance on both ends. In the end, emotional control is not about denying your humanity. It's about channeling your power. It's about choosing intention over impulse. It's about leading from wisdom instead of wounds. When you develop that level of discipline, people sense it immediately. You don't need to announce your authority, your presence reveals it. Because the person who can control their emotions, controls their voice, controls their decisions, controls their direction, controls their future, emotional control is not just a skill, it's a signal. A signal that says, I am unshakable. Most people speak to be noticed. They talk to sound important, to seem intelligent, to be admired, to get validation. They pack their words with flowery sentences, exaggerated confidence, and unnecessary complexity, all to impress the room. But influence isn't built on performance, it's built on impact, and impact happens when you stop trying to impress people and start trying to empower them. Your voice becomes powerful the moment you stop using it for attention and start using it for transformation. You're not here to deliver polished speeches. You're here to deliver truth. You're here to deliver direction. You're here to deliver a spark that wakes something up in the person listening. When your intention shifts from I hope they like what I say to I hope this changes something in them, your presence becomes electric. Speaking to impress is rooted in insecurity. It's driven by a need to be approved, to be validated, to be accepted. That kind of communication is fragile. One wrong reaction, one judgmental look, one moment of silence, and it falls apart. When your confidence depends on how people respond, your influence becomes weak and unstable. But when your message is anchored in purpose rather than applause, you become unshakable. People don't remember fancy words. They remember the moments where your voice gave them clarity. They remember when what you said gave them courage to take a step they were afraid. Oh, they remember when your message felt like a mirror, revealing who they could become. That's the true role of communication, not to decorate the air with impressive vocabulary, but to shift the atmosphere inside someone's mind. You speak to transfer power, power in the form of belief, power in the form of discipline, power in the form of awakening. When you speak with that intention, your tone changes, your posture changes, your energy changes, you're no longer performing, you're delivering something real, you're not trying to sound smart, you're trying to make someone stronger. Your voice becomes a vehicle for truth. You stop worrying about being perfect. You stop overthinking every sentence. You stop crawling into your own head. You're focused on one thing only. Does this help the person in front of me rise? That focus creates confidence that no script can teach, because purpose creates clarity, and clarity creates authority. There's a reason some people speak quietly but command more attention than someone screaming. It's because their words carry weight. They aren't scattering their energy trying to impress, they're directing it like a laser. They're speaking from alignment, not anxiety. They're speaking from experience, not ego. That alignment is magnetic. People can feel it immediately. Speaking to impress is all about you. Speaking to transfer power is all about the mission. And missions build leaders. When you speak from ego, people may applaud, but they won't change. They'll forget your words the moment ends. But when you speak from purpose, people shift. They think differently, they act differently, they see themselves differently. Your voice becomes a catalyst to transfer power. You must speak with clarity, not complicated words, not long explanations. Clarity. Clarity cuts through noise, it eliminates confusion, it opens space for understanding. Every great communicator knows this. If your message doesn't land, it doesn't matter how impressive it sounded. Power is transferred through simplicity, honesty, and conviction. Simplicity makes the message digestible. Honesty makes it trustworthy. Conviction makes it unforgettable. People feel your intention before they hear your words. If your intention is to look impressive, they tune you out. But if your intention is to lift them, they lean in. They feel the difference. They recognize when someone is speaking at them versus speaking into them. And here's the deeper truth. You can only transfer what you possess. You can't give people belief if you don't have belief. You can't give people strength if you've never built strength. You can't give people discipline if you live without discipline. Authority in communication comes from lived experience, not rehearsed lines. Speak from what you've survived. Speak from what you've built. Speak from the battles you've won. In silence, speak from truth, and your voice becomes a force. Your words should carry the energy of responsibility, not the responsibility to be liked, but the responsibility to deliver something real, something that elevates, something that challenges, something that reminds people of their own potential. When you speak to impress, you focus on how you sound. When you speak to transfer power, you focus on who they become, and that difference changes everything, because the world doesn't need more impressive voices. It needs more empowering ones. So from today forward, don't just speak Louder, speak stronger. Don't just demand attention, command it. Walk like you're chosen, talk like you're certain, and live like you're unstoppable, because when your presence becomes powerful, when your clarity becomes sharp, when your discipline becomes undeniable, that's the day the world finally listens, and they won't just listen, they'll follow.